Hey, what's good? Sparky Mitra is a biology engineer that has just started pursuing her PhD. That means that her brain has been optimized to solve problems. That's why she decided to run for Congress to represent California's 50th district, which is down in San Diego. This is my conversation with Sparky Mitra. Before we get into it, remember to go to coconutjustice.com to get you some clothes that I think would look good on you. Let's go. Hey, you guys, she's back. Sparky Mitra. Hello.
Yes, hi.
Nice to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be back. Super excited to talk about what happened in the race I ran and just to talk about the ecosystem and anything else that we stumble upon throughout.
We're going to geek out, you guys, because
Hell
she's an
yeah.
engineer.
Mhm,
She's one of
mhm.
those smart ones. I got me
Y'all.
so, and you know how I get when I get surrounded by smart people. I like being dumb.
No, dude. No, none of that. None of that.
No. But that's a funny way of saying, like, I love when someone is well-versed or well-read in a certain
Absolutely.
topic,
Mhm,
because
mhm.
then I'm always available to learn whatever it is. I'm always available to learn. I want to learn how, there's this guy out here up Northern California. You guys, Sparky is down by San Diego.
That's correct. Mhm.
Yeah. But up here, everyone has their own olive tree, and some people have enough olive trees to make their own olive oil.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to learn how to make olive oil, and I kept asking these questions. And this guy who makes his own olive oil, he thought I was kidding, and I was like, "Hey, where I come from, we don't have our own olive trees. We got to go to
Mhm,
the store for this stuff."
mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wait, that's so sick. I love that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
San Diego's a little different. San Diego's more desert.
For sure.
San Diego's wonderful if you love constantly wonderful weather.
Yes, that is one of the perks of San Diego for sure.
Yeah, I lived out there for about 3-4 months.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Rancho Peñasquitos. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
In my district, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's cool.
Mhm.
So what brought you down there?
To San Diego?
Yeah.
I came for undergrad and then I've kind of been here since. I've like ventured out for grad school and various different things, but I've always kind of been based here either for undergrad, but then working for a nonprofit and med tech companies in the area while I was venturing off and doing grad school. So I feel like I can't sit still for too long. So and I can't be doing one thing at a time. So even during grad school, I was still working in San Diego and
We're going to have
all the
fun in this
things.
conversation because I was like that too.
Yeah,
Boy,
right? I
I've
love
lived
it.
everywhere.
Wait,
Yeah,
that's
you
so
just have to
cool.
figure it out,
Mhm.
you know?
100%. Mhm.
Well, so you're originally from,
Texas. So I'm from Spring, Texas, outside of Houston.
yeah,
A little more than like an hour, between an hour and 2 hours outside of
born and
Houston.
raised?
No, so when I was like, we kind of settled down when I was 6 years old,
Yeah.
but
So you
before
had a
that,
traveling,
yeah, because it was the
one of
whole
your parents was a,
H-1B visa process where we had to like
okay.
basically follow wherever my dad's job went at the time because um his visa traveled with whatever work he got. So
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Well, I've on my channel, if you dig deep enough, you'll hear me bitching and complaining about H-1B visas and stuff. But, and I'm glad that you're here because I get to explain it to someone
Mhm.
who knows exactly what I'm talking about,
Mhm.
right?
Exactly.
So if you don't know, H-1B visas are basically when corporate America goes and finds a specific person for a specific job and they're wonderful at that job.
Mhm.
My argument is not with that person that they found. My argument is with our government that does not create the people that qualify for that job.
Yes, exactly.
Make sense?
Yes, yes. And I feel like there's actually been a lot of discourse on that, um, even like among progressives, that why aren't we investing in our education? Why aren't we investing in in people who are here who
Right.
yeah, be successful at these jobs? And it's not, and I mean, I think it's definitely like there's two reasons. First, of course, there's just not the investment. There's not, the corporate interests don't want that.
Right.
But not just to keep like Americans uneducated, they can also, like, my dad definitely came at a fraction of the cost
Hmm.
that an American would be able to be hireable for the same job for at
Hmm.
that time. Um so that they maintain they're winning in they're winning by keeping us like under their thumb by not educating us, but also by bringing in migrants who are also like just struggling
Who's
to.
right? Whose country invested in education enough to make them qualify for this job?
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm,
that little bit of money, the fraction of money that they make compared to, say, what I would make.
mhm, 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 mhm,
Um, if you're running a company, it makes sense.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
But that's why we can't have companies running the government.
Exactly. Yes. Mhm. a
Like,
hundred
how are you going to stack the
percent.
deck and then point your cheating finger at people and say, "See, you can't do it. You're dumb and you're lazy."
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. They want to have it all. It's only that's like the only group of people it's benefiting, truly.
Yeah, yeah, and it's mind-boggling to see, like, and this is the part that normal people don't see. Like, when you don't hang out with the true decision makers. And
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
understand, the your dock manager at that shipping company. I understand. It might seem like he makes the rules,
Mhm.
but when you are in a room full of decision makers, it's a different conversation.
Mhm. Mhm.
So they have figured out how to bend the rules so they continue to win. They want to make the decisions, but they don't want to have to deal with the consequences of their decisions,
Exactly.
right?
And they'll always point the finger to that like middle kind of person that you were talking about. They'll be like, "Oh, they're the ones making the decision when
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the strings are being pulled by this back room that you don't see."
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, if you relate it to the stock market, if you're playing the stock market and if you see a new bit of information that might benefit your portfolio on the news, it's already too late
Exactly. Mhm.
because there's
Mhm.
decisions being made and you don't see the deck being shuffled.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I mean, in terms of like the stock market, I think that, and we'll see how things play out, but I think that even people who are like investing in certain Nasdaq stocks right now, because they think that they're gonna make it big. I'm like, no, the people who were making it big
Have
invested
already made
before.
it.
Yeah, yeah, no, they invested before it was open to the public, y'all. Like,
Yeah. It's a what did there's a old he's not around anymore, but George Carlin, the comedian.
mhm,
He
mhm.
said it's a cool kids club and you don't belong to it.
Exactly.
They're not
Yeah.
going to just look at what happened with the Robin Hood app. When normal people started winning, they shut that shit down.
Mhm, mhm.
They
Exactly.
don't want
Yes.
normal people to
Mhm,
win.
mhm. Oh, exactly. Oh
Ain't
my
it
gosh.
crazy?
Uh-huh. It's insane. And I feel like people are waking up, especially when they really see a possibility to actually be represented right in front of them. But it's really hard to even get to that point where you have the information to help yourself. I mean,
Right.
um, the example that I like constantly bring up is that in California during the two presidential elections where Bernie was in the primaries, he won California. But That's because he had name recognition. That's because he had so many other things as a progressive. That is not
Yep.
necessarily the case for smaller progressive movements or candidates or whatever have you throughout the state. I think it's crazy that in a state that Bernie won one, I believe both primaries in, but definitely the second one in. I think it's crazy that our governor can say that he doesn't support the billionaire's tax. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. How can you be a governor of a state which has repeatedly shown that it is for progressive legislation that will benefit working families, and you're gonna say this dumb shit? I don't know. This is
And this
crazy.
is my thing. There's only proof. There's only proof that having a few people on top making decisions and trying to benefit the group, there's nothing but proof that it just doesn't work.
Exactly.
Instead, and I've been saying this to people, and I'm glad that there's an engineer, because now we get to like problem solve, and we'll figure it out, right?
Absolutely.
We change the way the government creates their programs and all that silly stuff. The shit doesn't work. You have to beg for money by grants and all this stuff. Instead of doing like food stamps and ABT and all this stuff, everyone has, if you're an American citizen, you have your card, and whatever programs you sign up for, if it's school, if it's whatever, if it's public aid, if it's unemployment, whatever, that money goes to your account. We know that works because it's already working. So that way, the consumer base, or all the citizens, they'll go, and we'll know where to spend more of the resources, because that's where the crowd is going.
Exactly.
Right? Supposedly there's a bunch of programs and stuff out there that are just there for something, and nobody knows that they're there. Nobody knows what they qualify for.
No, exactly. And I think that I mean, it also just goes back to, so I think that I totally agree with you. There is a huge group of folks. I feel like most Americans in one way or another will qualify for like some of this aid in some way, shape, or form. But it is truly only a very interesting kind of group of folks that know about it. They're educated. Yes, they have come on hard times. At the same time, they know where to find information. They know how to ask for help. And they haven't also been told by society that asking for help is a bad thing, because that's also something that most working folks have been told their whole lives. Because I think if you are educated, it's very easy to say that, oh, this will be something that I can use to get back on my feet. Whereas I feel like for the common working class person, they've been told, oh, you're, like what you were saying earlier, lazy, constantly reliant on us, constantly depriving us of X, Y, and Z, when in reality that is literally the government's job to make sure that its people are succeeding and healthy.
Yeah. And it's only proof. And it's only proof that we start out with a bunch of money. You live in California. We have a bunch of money for homeless people. And what do we have an abundance of?
Exactly. Homeless people. Yes.
The program must have wrote it like upside down or something, because the shit is like
yes, it's
instead
insane.
of like, and what's funny is these Republicans, they love all these voucher programs and everything. Okay, well, here's a voucher program. Here's a card. We're giving you directly your money. If you want to go to a school, you charge it to the card or your account or whatever the hell it is. But the point is, I talked to Bree Woodson, she ran in Georgia.
Yes. I'm familiar with Bree. Super
Yeah,
cool.
she's
Super
amazing. I
cool.
love her. But she was saying like flipping that triangle.
Mhm.
And that's the good way, is like directly investing in your people and letting them do the or giving them and if your population is too dumb to figure it out, then you know for a fact again that you need more school.
Exactly. Yes.
So you put a little money in that card. Boop, go to school, dum dum.
No, exactly. I mean, I also feel as though, I mean, there's this like weird rhetoric, especially right now, especially on the conservative side, especially among Republicans,
Mm-hmm.
where they will constantly say that, oh, unless you're an engineer or a doctor, you don't need to go to school. To me, there is some like, yes, if you're investing in trades, if you're really, if you care about unionized labor, yes, absolutely, I'm with you 100%. If you're investing in various city college programs, associate's degrees, technical schools, trade schools, I'm with you 100%. That's what happens in a lot of Scandinavian countries, where you can essentially pick if you're
Mm-hmm.
going to go to trade school, if you're going to pursue a 4-year degree, what have you. I don't feel like we're at that point, because like I feel like in this country, in high school, you have military recruiters coming because there's the because that's what the country wants. The country wants us to not get an education. It can be technical education too. It can be a trade. But they just don't want that. They would rather us like be beholden to defense contractors and
Right.
right, and just
Yep.
out these like very kind of disruptive and destructive corporate interests, and even
Because that's how they learn to get their way.
exactly 100%. Yes,
That's
just
it.
through like
Because
military
you can
brute
sit
force
in,
kind of.
yeah,
Hmm.
you can sit in Congress and argue and all the, hey, no, look, it's because of da da da, and it's because the water's dirty, and it's because of whatever, and but if you walk up and punch someone in the face and knock them out, now it's your way.
Mm-hmm.
I was in French Polynesia, and this guy was telling me the history of one of the islands, Morea.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, we're out here. We didn't even have the coconuts over the women's breasts. Like, we're out here naked as a jaybird. And then these folks showed up with these guns, and when you have a gun, you make the decisions.
No,
So everybody had to
exactly.
cover up and everything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even I don't know the exact history, but even in India, right? So we see these saris, and nowadays, I mean, it's very common to have a blouse underneath the sari, but before
Hmm.
that was very much for only certain types of work in India. If you were a woman um in certain industries, yes, you had to wear a blouse. But before the British came, almost no women wore blouses in India. And And it's just like this Western way of thinking of, oh, it's like my way or the highway, and
Yeah.
I know better than you, even though I have so many thoughts on that, because I feel Europe did not know what like sewage systems were.
That's what I'm saying. People that were throwing their pee out the window are trying to tell people that they're savages. You
Exactly.
brought the disease.
Right, exactly. I'm just like, the disconnect is crazy, y'all.
And again, that's part of why they don't want to teach that part of history.
Exactly. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and it's not even that, for me, I don't look back and judge. I look back and say, okay, that's where we were.
Mhm.
We've come a
Mhm.
long way.
Yeah, 100%. And we absolutely have come a long way, and I do think, especially with kind of getting global perspectives on technology, on even something as basic as human rights, that was not universally, and even now there's struggles across both here and abroad. But learning from other countries and their struggles and their
Hmm.
people's fights, we've definitely been able to improve. It
Hmm.
just is really frustrating when we're like, we would rather ignore that and go back to
Go back to a way that the reason why we're here is because that way didn't work.
right. Exactly. Yes, yes, yes. Right.
Yeah. I d- yeah. For me, again, going back to the engineering
Mhm,
brain,
mhm.
right? For me, if you have a group of people that is looking at a different group of people and saying, what's your problem? Why aren't you doing better for yourselves and your communities?
Mhm.
For that group not to say, let's fix this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I've been
exactly.
on this trip lately where all
Mhm.
these people are on the news talking all this shit, talking about how wonderful they are. They're trying to figure out how different ways to kick people like you and me out of the country and all this stuff,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
All that. And under your rules, we haven't seen anything but famine, struggle, uh, 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 being poor,
Mhm, mhm.
being destitute, being homeless. So your way of doing it doesn't do anything but leave a wake of like misery.
Yeah, exactly.
Winner
Exactly.
take all sucks, dude.
Yes, yes, absolutely, and kind of going to that engineering brain kind of part, I mean, it's not even I feel like a lot of times in these spaces with kind of corporate Dems or, of course, like Republicans, there will either be this kind of demonization of folks that are struggling, or there will be this constant want in these spaces to keep reevaluating what the quote unquote true problem is. Whereas we know what the problems are. The problems are right in front of us. We don't need another study telling us that homelessness is an issue. We can see it
Yeah.
in front of us. Rather than that, why not invest in creating something that we can start with one person. We can start with two people. But that is going to help lift people up and then expand that and actually bring people up rather than constantly being like, oh, I know that's an issue, but we don't really know if that's an issue. We don't really know
Yeah.
the best
They
way.
go into the black and brown communities, and when it comes to setting up cops and tanks and cameras, there's unlimited amounts of money. But when it
Exactly.
comes to books and movies and art
Hmm, hmm.
and proper sidewalks, then all of a sudden we just don't have money.
Exactly, exactly. And um kind of just to kind of give an example of how this maybe related to how I was even running my campaign. So especially I believe Republicans do this too, but if you're running as a Democrat, it is very much good practice to get everything union printed for your campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
And um and that does make it hard for certain like kind of grassroots campaigns because it is more expensive, which makes sense. It's unionized labor. Love that. Great. We should be doing that as much as possible.
Yeah.
At the same time, you have certain folks, even Democrats in the San Diego region, who will get everything union printed, but that won't actually listen to what the unions even want. So flock and ALPRs, that stuff is really a big problem even in San Diego. It's something we're
Mm.
constantly fighting back against, kind of this over surveillance and cameras that you were talking about. And our labor council is a part of the coalition that is kind of against that. It's called the Trust Coalition in San Diego. And the Trust Coalition pushes back against that, pushes back against over surveillance at any time it's brought up to city council or local government. And then you have folks who are very anal about this, getting things labor printed and everything. And for me, I got everything printed by labor except for my t-shirts. I got my t-shirts printed by a local business owner who, his name is Musla. He's really great. He's been great for, especially for the Black community in San Diego. But what he does is, a big part of what he does outside of his t-shirt business is he literally chases cops out of his community. That's his, and he has taken it upon himself to kind of get that out of the fucking community and
Yeah.
make sure the kids are protected. And there's other gangsters in the area who've literally put down arms against opposing gangs. And this is actually outside of my district, but still very much in the San Diego region.
Yeah.
Who have been like, y'all, our Black kids are dying. Let's work together to solve this and put all of our resources and tools into doing this and protecting our kids. But I know if someone saw my shirts, yes, if I gave them that story, maybe they'd back off. The first thing they'd be like is, why isn't it union printed? I'm like, are you supporting what your union actually fucking supports? Because like, because they don't want you supporting over surveillance in the communities, dude. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Again, as the engineering brain, I see some data. If you look at our citizens as data, the data's not, it's not clean data. It's not efficient data. So you have to fix the data. You have to concentrate. What are we, what are we looking for? What are we trying to track? What are we trying to improve? That's just it. Just a problem solver brain is like, we keep this here. This is the bottleneck right here. We need to fix this right here. Get people a little more knowledgeable, to teach them how to learn and how to crave learning so they don't get tricked into dumb shit all the time.
Yes, exactly.
Be able to discern, like, and AI is getting good. Don't get me wrong. But being able to research an issue and coming out and like actually like processing that information, just to like, why is this guy only rich when he's selling me tennis shoes and meme coins? Like, nobody's sitting back and saying like, I'm broke as shit and this guy has tripled his net worth.
And somehow when you go into meetings with this person, they're like, we're struggling, the economy's bad.
And that's another thing. Poor people need to stop thinking that the economy has anything to do with them. Economy, when people say economy is good, that's how much rich people are spending. Not you.
Exactly. Yes.
That's not you. You're still struggling.
Yes.
Gas is expensive as shit, and you have to pay for it.
Exactly.
Company owners are putting that gas on the company. That shit. Like, yes. The game is different, you guys.
No, it totally is. And it's so strange to me because I feel that there's certain communities, I do feel like migrant communities, even if we're working class, we're better at working together and like really coming in clutch for each other when we're struggling.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think there is this very individualistic culture in the US where it's very strange. Like when we're struggling, we kind of stay to ourselves and things. But when we're like, when we look at the economy, we're like, we're doing so good. I'm like, are we? Like, exactly.
I'm just as hungry today as I was last week.
Exactly. And I'm just like, yo, let's come together because we're struggling. I mean, yeah, the big boss is doing just fine, but we're struggling and we can really push for change that's going to help us. I mean, another thing that's happening in San Diego right now is that they're trying to get rid of junk fees for tenants and renters in the area, and these junk fees include anything that's kind of outside of your rent, um and there's certain like boutique landlords that will even charge you for something that was broken when you had moved in, like,
Oh, damn.
already, and things like that, so protecting renters against that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, I feel like we could really mobilize folks on that and really get people together on that. We just education is so fucking important, though, you're so right, and just
Yeah.
getting people in the know that that's a thing that's coming up, 'cause there was an informational item at the council about this, and people were talking about there was, like, an entire group of people that said that they're ethical, landlords, and they had these bright green stickers saying that, and I'm just like, "If you are, get your tenants to show up and really speak on your behalf." They won't, 'cause, like, that doesn't make any sense. Um, but yeah, but if tenants really came together, and that's something that we've been seeing more with, like, tenants unions and things like that across the state and the country, we can really get seismic shifts, um, of course, with candidates, but also just on local policies that are really, like, helpful on to us in living our day-to-day lives the way we want to.
What was it that made you care? I mean, you're young, you're a student, you're busy. Like, why do you care?
So the first thing that really kind of got me engaged, was the first two things. I got engaged actually in Texas, and the first two things that kind of got me engaged were, gun violence prevention and abortion rights, especially because even before Roe was overturned, the heartbeat bill was passed in Texas, and after that, I mean, there's a total ban.
Mhm.
But that's something that I started mobilizing for, and then with March for Our Lives, when they had their state chapter system still, I was helping translate documents into South Asian languages
Mhm.
for gun violence prevention work. So that's and I honestly just felt strongly because I have been very privileged to experience, yes, the education system in the US, but also in Southeast Asia, because I was there for a
Mm.
couple of years, in grade school, and so when I came back, these lockdown drills and things like that were way more jarring, and
Yeah.
I was just like,
You
"Shit,
wanna
this
hear
is."
what's crazy?
Yeah. Mhm, mhm, mhm,
When I was a kid in grade school,
mhm.
they were teaching us how to hide under desks just in case of nuclear war.
Yes, I've seen the videos that y'all used to see where where it's like you're under the desk and that desk is protected.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know, when I went into the army,
Mhm, mhm,
um, some of the missiles that I had to deal with were nuclear. There was nuclear capabilities.
mhm,
And I
mhm.
got to watch some videos and stuff like that. And then I thought to myself, that desk wasn't going to do shit.
No, yeah, yeah, we're pretty fucked if it ever comes to that point, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like literally cooked. Literally
Mhm,
cooked.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, exactly, and so that's kind of what got me engaged, and very tragically, I was actually on Brown's campus when the shooting happened there, and
Ooh.
so I was a building over in my lab, actually, when the
At
shooting
least you're doing your
happened.
homework. Your
Right,
parents are
right.
so excited you just said that.
That's so and my building was right next to the building, it was like a block away from the building that, ended up getting shot up,
Mhm.
and so we were that was a really crazy experience because I was like, "Okay, I got involved in politics to prevent this, and this shit is happening at my school. That's ridiculous. Nothing has changed."
Yeah.
And I feel like it's almost been a decade since that, um and I like to think I'm relatively young, but even then, like, this decade, it feels like even if there has been some movements forward, it's just not enough,
Right.
and so, that's kind of really what got me back into being Yes, still involved in community organizing. So since my involvement in gun violence prevention and abortion rights, I've gotten really involved in housing justice work. It is super pertinent all across California, including San Diego. And so that's kind of where I've kind of put all my efforts, just trying to solve the problems that I see on the day to day. And but that shooting is kind of what gave me a pause, and then I had to deal with some other things. But when I was able to kind of sit in everything, I was really disgruntled and disheartened that that happened, and that's kind of what really led me to even pursuing a political run,
Yeah.
um, 10 toes down and being really serious about it um, because I want people to realize that it doesn't have to be like this.
Right.
I think we constantly expect life, this to be the normal.
Yeah.
This is our new normal, and it's not. These things are not normal. I mean, it's crazy to me, like, that's why I had to take a step back, really kind of think about things, and um, even and though I love my PhD, I love that bioengineering work, I had to be like, "Y'all, I need to be in my community right now." And then when I come here, just a few weeks ago, I think it's been maybe a month now, or maybe even a little bit more than that. I mean, ICSD experienced a shooting here in San Diego,
Mm.
our mosque, and that was, I think it, at least then, it was being investigated as a hate crime. I think it still is.
Yeah.
And um, and it's just the same talk. It's the same problem. It's like, wow, nothing has fucking changed,
No.
and I feel like we could be better.
And yeah, and this is why I'm always, sounding the drum of education
Mhm. Mhm.
is we need as many teachers, doctors, lawyers, engineers, plumbers, electricians, all that stuff,
Exactly. Mhm.
so we can figure out how to work with the planet. We're fighting it right now, and that's why
Mhm.
everything is breaking and everything. That's not. Whereas when you go to, and I can't wait to talk about your travels, but like when you go to a place like Tahiti and Moorea and stuff like that, and you get to see how people live within nature.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm not asking you not to have internet. I'm not asking you to none of that stuff. Like, we're heating up the planet and also chopping down trees and doing all the things and killing vegetation. When you see nature working the way that it's supposed to work, you're like, oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Mhm. 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 Exactly. Yes, and I even think about how, I know you brought up human creations, right? Like the internet, and
Hmm.
even certain agricultural advancements and things like that. We have we always like talk about how like 10 billion people is kind of going to be the breaking point of the planet, or it's going to be where kind of human population plateaus,
Mm.
and we're getting pretty close to that. My thing is, I don't know the exact science behind that particular number, but when I look at the number we have right now, 8 billion some odd people, we have enough food to, I believe, give us, last time I checked, to give us each 9 meals a day. But do we really experience that? And this is like globally. So we have like innovated enough for that to be a reality, but distribution systems, focus of politicians and leaders is just not there. It's not
Right.
there on the people. And that includes, yes, innovation, but also what you were saying, the natural way of things and working with a planet that is there to protect, that is there for us, And
Literally,
yeah,
literally gave and sustains our life.
exactly.
And
Yes.
these idiots continue to pee in the pool.
Exactly. Yes. it's it's ridiculous. And then
It's
they
so
look at
frustrating.
and then exactly, and then they look at another planet as the answer. And I'm just like, Can we fix
Wha-
what's going? Because do we you real? What?
Again, they're slumlords. They're so used to being slumlords
Exactly.
that they don't know what it is to. Of course, you're going to thrive when you fix the game. Of course, you're
Exactly.
supposed to. The game is being played in such a shitty way that we're tearing the fabric of society. Our infrastructure is crumbling. We're poisoning our water. We're ruining nature. Like everything that gives us life, we're ruining. And people refuse to learn. I'm hell bent on teaching kids in the inner city. I'm hell bent on teaching them where their food comes from. How do you grow? And growing things is not that hard. You know, there's some things that it gets tricky sometimes. You need to know when to add what and blah, 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 blah. But for the most part, growing things and teaching people how to grow their own carrots and how to have, I don't know, their own chickens and stuff like that. There's enough space. There's enough space. If we were to leverage technology and nature the way that we have the potential for, we'd be able to. But the thing is, we have to get people locked in. And everybody's too dumb. Everybody's watching fucking, what is that, Wheel of Fortune and stupid shit.
No, exactly. I love that you brought that up because that's something that even in organizer circles in San Diego, at least, we've constantly been bringing up how to like bolster local economies. And that starts, yes, with community gardens, but it can become this really big kind of way of actually being effective and building kind of that muscle memory to shift away from these big corporations and essentially slumlords and actually build things, first of all, to last, but also to sustain our communities rather than just seeing it as something that turns a profit for a business.
Right.
And keeping our community and our, even if we do look at economically, our resources within our communities to sustain them rather than letting our communities be like pools to extract from for this person that we'll never see in our entire lives. And we've constantly actually been talking about that and trying to build that out. Because you're right, there's little, especially when you look at kind of things one by one, growing a certain plant, taking care of chickens, taking care, or even building something, or finding a way to help your community in some way. These are all things that we don't have to be great at fucking everything, but like, and we're not asking for that either, but just a couple of things to like really make it so that the community can really sustain itself. Because that also, like, low-key, that gives us the autonomy to really break away from these systems of power
that obviously don't work.
Yes, exactly. And also, when there is someone who's like coming in to extract from the community, building these local economies gives us that power to say, hold on. Instead of telling us what you're gonna take from our community, what are you bringing to this community first? And then we'll fucking talk.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Because I was looking at this, there's like this book that came out recently or is about to come out, called How to Rule the World. I don't know if you've seen clips on this, but it's this kid from Stanford who was talking about this super secret class at Stanford where this rich CEO essentially tells him how to dupe the system and how to lie and cheat. It's like what leads to companies like Theranos and others. And I'm just like, oh, so it's not even a thing that they know is wrong. They're like, this is how you win the system. I'm like, why are we?
They're actively.
And they're teaching. I'm like, we should teach our communities to like counteract that shit.
And you know what? That's been a joke for so long. Oh, they must have white people classes where they teach white people shit.
Yes.
And it's a literal class. Oh my God.
It's insane, dude. It's crazy.
White people 101.
Right? It's insane.
Juke the system.
It's just so fucking crazy to me. And
then they point their finger at the you know, at the poor person in whatever community that maybe got $150 extra in their food stamps or something.
yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. To live, bro. Like
For real. 150. I could eat $150 of food right now.
no, right?
What got you
Insane.
into bioengineering?
Ooh, okay. So a couple of things. So I think I was more set on just doing something kind of tinkering-y in general, because uh even from when I was really little, because I grew up a really shy kid, and I would still consider myself quite introverted,
Mm-hmm.
but I loved seeing how shit works, and so at home everything would be disassembled and reassembled, and my mom even talks about it now, where she's like, everything was just constantly being
That was me
opened
too,
and
but I used to get
right.
whipped.
I think there was like a point where my mom was like, yeah, she's like doing fine in school, so I guess it's all right.
Yeah. See, that's the difference. When you handle kids differently. Me, I was punished and I was told that I was breaking things. You were exploring and you should be
Yeah.
invested in.
No, exactly. So that's something that I kind of knew from the outset that I loved doing. And then there was right. And so and then slowly, I want to say during so first it kind of came as like the regular robotics and doing
Mm-hmm.
finding ways to strengthen the community, and then I had like a really good time because grew up on the Gulf Coast. We A lot of the communities near us were heavily affected by different hurricanes and things like that, so I had like a really good time kind of actually being wanted as a young person to help break down houses before they would like rebuild when we had when the sheetrock in the house got like waterlogged from
Mm-hmm.
flooding. We would like help rip that out for our neighbors and such, and so
That's pretty cool.
right, and so seeing that and little things like that, and really understanding that I really like how shit works, made
Mm-hmm.
me really excited about engineering in general. But then there was definitely a part of me that also was very intrigued with how we can actually, it kind of relates to a point that we were talking about earlier, how we can work with nature and the systems that nature has given us
Mm-hmm.
to um work with them, but also potentially optimize them for solutions that nature hasn't necessarily like been given the time and life cycle to evolve to and
Mm-hmm.
evolve for. And so I first got involved with kind of overexpressing certain genes in different plants to make them more drought resistant and things like that. But nowadays, um my work has been more about engineering proteins to either bind different things. So I used to help engineer proteins to bind rare earth elements, for example, to give a more sustainable option to extract rare earth elements than
Mm-hmm.
how we do it right now. And that was what I was working on just a couple years ago. And more recently, what I've worked on is more in the realm of engineering proteins to bind different dyes so that when these proteins are expressed in a brain, um, these proteins can sense like a change in voltage and help map out what's going on in the brain.
Ooh,
Yeah. With this dye that they've bound. And so that's kind of what I'm working on now. But
that's cool.
yeah.
So basically, you're working on a dye that when you go in for a CAT scan or something like that, it makes whatever you're
So
looking
not
for stand out more.
exactly, yeah, so not exactly the dye itself, because that there is like a very cool realm of research that focuses actually on engineering those dyes.
Hmm.
What particularly engineer is the proteins themselves, so that like if you alter a gene and then
Mm-hmm.
you overexpress that gene in the brain, that protein can bind an existing dye and then can help illuminate what's going on in the brain more clearly than our current technologies can.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. How close to CRISPR is that?
So it is very close, and I think in the future, because this is very much in a very early on stage of kind of looking at just like the science of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like way before anything clinical or anything like that. But ultimately, I do think yes, CRISPR would be involved in like cutting genes and kind of putting them in
Okay.
and
And
helping
that's where the
express.
binding part
Ex-
comes in.
yes,
Okay,
exactly.
cool. All right. That's
Yeah.
sick.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I think like so that one will definitely take a lot more time to kind of see its use, but the rare earth element binding one, that's actually already being used by um uh so basically what has now been done is that this protein that was engineered
Mm-hmm.
has now been like put into this column where they can like pass through any kind of mixture that happens to have rare earth elements, so that then it will bind these rare earths and then you can like process them and like use them. But
Okay.
like different companies have already been like looking at using that.
Yeah. So it's like
So
making different alloys and
so it's definitely before making the different alloys. It's definitely just like because right now rare earth elements are very much an imported commodity in the US. It's not something that we
because Americans are lazy and stupid.
no. It's because American sources of rare earths, it is super destructive to the environment to
Ah,
actually get them out. And
yeah.
so the idea would be that this would be a much cleaner way to actually, yes, boost production in the US without absolutely demolishing our ecosystems. Because right
Yeah.
now, there is definitely forces that want that to happen because they don't give a shit.
Right.
And they're super like anti China and whatever. Because rare earth elements mainly come in from China, even
Yeah.
now. And so, even like the Trump administration, I think that they do see this as something that's critical and that we need to do. But I don't think they would care as much about sustainable development. I think they'd be like, no, I see it there. I don't fucking care what it destroys. I just want it. So, yeah.
I was just watching what was the channel? The Breaking Points.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about there's a guy from I forget what school, but he was talking about some brain discovery where apparently the fluid that your brain floats in,
Mm-hmm.
um, apparently there's an aperture there that actually leaks it into your, was it the lymphatic system?
Yeah,
So
that sounds
basically
right.
they're learning that the brain has this functionality. And the
Mm-hmm.
history of it is they saw it happening within mice, and they saw that these mice had this little basically this hole that drips out fluid.
Mm-hmm.
And then why in the lymphatic, why it matters the lymphatic, I can't say that word right now, lymphatic system, is because that's how your body heals itself. And so they're
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they're trying to figure out what that little aperture is for. But the cool thing is they're finding out new functionality in the brain all the time.
Yeah, yes, exactly. No, I honestly, after you mentioned it, I'm just like looking at this. That is super cool. Where they basically, um, yeah. So I think we often associate the lymphatic system with like waste removal and processing, and that is what it's helping, um, the brain do. I think by getting the cerebrospinal fluid or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
out. But because yeah, I feel like a lot of times even I thought that this was very much a kind of an isolated system with the
Mm-hmm.
cerebrospinal fluid, because I think we're often told that, oh, if something happens to the spinal cord it's like over, which is very much like true even
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But it's super cool to know that that's maybe not necessarily the case, and we can potentially feed stuff into the system to help with like neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and things like that.
Yeah, they mentioned Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, yeah,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah. Cuba, apparently there's some doctors in Cuba that are working on a cure for Alzheimer's as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's what I've heard of too.
Proof that
Super cool.
if you invest in education, you're just gonna have a
Right.
team of bad motherfuckers. Come on.
Yes, man. Like Cuba has like 100% literacy, and then America's too embarrassed to even publicize what our literacy rate is, which is just
5th or 6th grade, right?
it's really bad. I
These
think
kids are still reading with their fingers, son.
yeah, dude, it's so bad, and I know for a fact and I consider myself pretty educated and very privileged to have been given access to a lot of these things. At the same time, I was even looking at myself, and before the encampment at Columbia, where I was doing my master's, before that, I really had stopped reading for fun. I mean, I still read for my research, but in
Yeah.
terms of reading nonfiction or even fiction for fun, that's just something I had stopped doing until the encampment, and then I was like hanging out at the camp, and I was like, books are cool, y'all.
I'm telling you. When I was in the middle of my career, people would be like, so do you read? I said, yeah, all the time. They said, what books do you read? I said, computer manuals. They said, no, for fun. I said, other computer manuals. Like, there's no time for that.
No.
Like, code changes all the time. Technology
Yeah.
changes
Yes.
all the time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You don't have time. And when you take your foot off the gas, boy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're like a mad scientist, and you want to fix the world.
I mean, if I could play a small part, that would be ideal. Yeah.
Do you think all the travel that you've done, do you think that plays into you being a wonderful human?
I hope so. I definitely think it does. I mean, that's something that I often talk about, and I used to be more kind of hand wavy about, oh, every kid in America should go to a different country, and I'm just like, okay, yes, I still want that to happen.
Yeah.
Let's start with our communities, bro. Like, go to a community that doesn't look anything like yours.
That's it. Yeah. I want to develop something where kids, I grew up in Chicago, so I always see it's a sickness. It's a sickness. I grew up in Chicago, and the disconnect that we had as kids from nature. And yeah, you go on hikes and dumb shit like that, but you're not paying attention. You're just happy you're not doing homework.
Right.
And yeah, I want to develop something where city kids and country kids can hang out and teach each other things.
Exactly. I want that too, man. Like, that is literally a dream of mine, to see something like that really come to fruition and become a very very cornerstone part of education here. I think it's so fucking important, because I feel like we do see these opportunities a little bit more in certain colleges. For example, at Brown, I believe is no, I actually know this. Brown is sister schools with a university in the Deep South, and it's an HBCU, and they do have a program where certain students, but then again, it's students that already care, that are already knowledgeable, that already know the importance of potentially going to an HBCU in the Deep South and working in those schools, and working at that university, and also in the communities that surround that university. So these kids already know, but I feel like most kids here, they do not even realize that a certain kind of struggle can even exist. I think there's so many struggles that a rural kid goes through that a city kid will never understand, and the same is
And
definitely
at the same
true
time,
the other way
freedoms
around.
too.
Yes,
City
exactly.
kids don't understand how amazing it is to sit in an inner tube on a river drinking beer where you don't even
Mhm.
have to get out of the inner tube to pee.
Yeah.
Come on, son. You guys, it's so cool.
No, exactly. Yes. No, and there's
And country kids don't know what it's like to be in the city surrounded by so many different cultures.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
many different amazing restaurants, so many
Mhm.
different
Mhm.
people.
Exactly. Exactly. Like even just the act of in the city, there's something different that you could do every day. In the country, there's something that there's time for you to really sit with something and get good at it. And even little things about life that are vastly different between the two.
Yeah.
Um, because I do feel like community looks really different, but it still exists in both of those ecosystems. It
Hmm.
just looks super different. Uh, um, like, I know in the Deep South, we always, like, talk about, like or, like, people when they talk about the South, they talk about, like, Southern hospitality and things like that, and the import of community and,
Until the
like
coloreds come.
well, yes, yes. No, you're right, and, even, like, the act of, like, "Oh, I ran out of eggs, I can go next door and ask for some," and things like that. That
Yeah.
that that is a very kind of concrete part of life.
Yeah.
At the same time, the city, a lot of times you're coming together with like diverse communities like you mentioned, and like I don't think in the South you could ever imagine like a spread that's being set out but on Eid, for example, in New York City for like the entire community to come to the table
Yeah.
at and talk to each other
Yeah.
and just eat food, good
Yeah.
food to break their
Yeah.
fast. So
And coming from
with
the
some
deep
neighbors.
south, listen, if you're from the deep south and you eat that good ass barbecue,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
need to hang out with an Indian folks that are going to teach you how to make vegetarian recipes, son, cuz you're going to it's only going to improve your life.
No, exactly, that's my thing, dude, yes. No, I mean, even for me, there's definitely certain kinds of food or, like, certain kind of staples that I only had the way that my mom cooked and
Yeah.
growing up, and then, of course, I liked a lot of it, but there's definitely things that I was like, I would rather not have that," and when I
Mhm.
had it a different way of a friend or another community member, whether it was in San Diego or New York or Providence, I was like, "I actually like that shit." Just not in maybe not in that way, and I'll actually eat it. I'll get my veggies in,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. uh, yeah. Yeah, food. The food
Mhm.
alone in the city. I just recorded with someone from Chicago
Mhm,
yesterday.
mhm.
And they were talking about how easy it is. And I live in Sonoma. So we have
Mhm.
like a Thai place, couple pizza places. We finally got a hamburger place, and then just a lot of like California style farm to table type of stuff.
Mhm,
It's
mhm, mhm.
like the reach isn't there.
Mhm, exactly. Mhm, mhm,
When I
mhm.
go back home, I order like I don't have normal food. I have like
I
Indian
love
food.
it,
I have
yes.
Chinese food. I have all the different foods.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Not that it's bad. It's I just probably a lot like your brain and my brain are probably very similar. That tinkery brain, and then
Mhm,
you go
mhm.
play here and you play there and you play here and you play there, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Food the same
Absolutely.
way.
Yes, exactly.
Arroz con pollo over here. Get some naan over there.
Yes,
Let's go.
exactly. I love it. Yes, exactly. You get it. Yes.
Yeah, that diversity, man. It just makes life so much easier. It's not like boiled down to what you're telling me to eat, what you're telling me to
Exactly.
wear, what you're telling me to
Exactly. Absolutely. And this is when I get really upset because there's definitely a disconnect. I totally agree with you that more education would definitely help with this. At the same time, I know plenty of really conservative, anti-immigration folks that love Mexican food. And I'm
You know
like,
what's
do you
funny?
know where that comes from?
Up here it's pretty stark. It's majority white and
Mhm.
Mexican,
Mhm, mhm.
you know. So it's very simple.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Um I was going somewhere with that. What were you saying just before that?
I was talking about how conservatives don't
Yeah,
necessarily.
howdy. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So here we eat a lot of Mexican food because
Mhm,
we
mhm,
have
mhm.
about 30 Mexican restaurants at any given time. And then in the weekends, we get the food trucks. So,
Yeah. Mhm,
tacos
mhm.
out the ass. And I look around and I see all these white folks just tearing into these tacos. And I was like, now that you guys got the recipe, now you want to kick out all the Mexicans?
Right. Yeah, it's
Like that's.
crazy. It's insane, man. No, I was looking at and I know we touched upon it a little bit before, but part of where I was running to represent, it includes pretty rural areas too that are pretty far
Mhm.
off from the city in Valley Center. And
Farmland or more like desert east?
it is mainly farmland.
Okay.
Mainly farmland. So basically before I retaught myself how to drive, I was taking the bus over there every 2 hours. Oh my
That's
fucking
right.
god. And so but when I was taking the bus there, I would go pretty much on the work schedule when I was going there on the bus. And so I would go early in the morning, first bus out, and that's when um a lot of migrant workers had just like gotten off their Greyhound from the border, and they're taking the same bus to Valley Center to help work the fields. And that is the most conservative area of my district, and I'm just like, um I I I get that this is how you vote. At the same time, it is only going to help you, first of all, if we invest in fucking public transit, because that is how your workers get to their job. And also, it is only going to help if you actually make life livable for these folks,
Yeah.
because they will. It is easier to show up to work when you're not having to worry about food and housing and just like basic
Right.
living.
Right.
But
And that's the secret that rich folks don't like to share with folks is, like if you think of it as moving through life and it's the friction of, do I have enough money for food? Do I have enough money for gas? Do I have a car? And all these things just create friction. But when you get to a point where your life is sustainable, the friction is kind of gone, so you're more likely to be more comfortable with who you are. You're more comfortable with moving in life, and instead of operating from a mentality of punishment and having something taken away, like actually walking out of your house feeling like you're about to flourish
exactly.
and you're going to be successful because the infrastructure or the scaffolding that is society has you no matter what you're doing. And listen, successful people, I was successful AF, and technology changed and I found myself out by myself out in the cold, like no job, no none of that stuff. I didn't deserve to be left alone. I didn't deserve to. It would be good to have scaffolding that says, okay, you did all of that. Is there anything else that we can teach you to make you be productive again?
Exactly. I mean, and this is something that I really am really excited about with more progressives getting elected. I mean, Mila winning her primary yesterday was
That's crazy.
amazing. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It was close though, but she won. She
So if
won.
you guys don't know, that's the representative in Colorado.
That's right. That's right. And with all of these progressives coming into Congress, I know a lot of them also support a jobs guarantee
Yeah.
by the federal government. So right now, there is no pressure on the government, which is crazy to me because we're electing them, so that should be the pressure. But because it is these corporate interests that get to actually choose at the end of the day,
Hmm.
they're the ones who are putting the pressure, not the actual voters.
Yeah.
When we're supposed to be able to be like, hey, you're not working for me, get out. That's just not how it is for the majority of races even now. But hopefully with more progressives coming in, more like grassroots candidates coming in, we'll get things like a jobs guarantee
Hmm.
or some sort of basic income passed, because you're so right. People don't deserve to be left behind, and there should be incentive for the government to also fund these training programs to help people switch from like fields that are getting obsoleted. It's not
Yeah.
your fault that something is getting obsolete.
And like one of our friends,
Mhm.
um, Lauren Collin was on with us before, but he said, I believe I'm almost positive 100% it was him that said we just have schooling available. So let's say there's a mad dash at plumbers. Now all of a sudden we have too many plumbers. Well, we get some of those plumbers and put them back in school. And if some of them want to be bakers, then they learn. Or after your career, you're 85 years old and you feel like you want to go to school to do whatever the fuck you want because you're 85.
Yes,
At
exactly.
least we have a place for you. You can go. We have a seat for you to learn. Whether it's like an amalgamation of the public libraries and the education system, I don't know.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
But I
mhm.
mean, it's there.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like
That way,
we
if you're gonna
yeah.
tell someone pull yourself up by the bootstraps, at least you can say, "Well, at least we gave them fucking boots,
Right,
right?"
exactly. Yes. Yes, exactly. I mean, I think it's such a disservice to every person here that we don't see these services and education as wraparound services that are there to lift people up and to make
Mm-hmm.
sure, kind of what you were saying, how that are there to act as a scaffolding,
Mm-hmm.
um, either if you fall in hard times or to help you move to the next big thing.
Right.
Um, right now we see it as a one-off opportunity that is reserved for one person who can, in some way, shape, or form, get access to that, knows about it, is there through internal connections.
And then, yeah, let's be honest, it's through the connections. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Instead of, oh shit, this should be accessible to the general public because this is how we're gonna actually get ahead by equipping everyone. But
Yeah. How are you and the other biologists leveraging technology like AI and stuff like that? Are you?
yeah, so yes, I would say yes, we definitely are. In my lab, there's definitely folks. So when we're engineering these proteins, we're testing um like hundreds of different combinations usually, and usually you
Mm-hmm.
have to do experiments on all of these combinations of like genetic alterations, whatever have you. But AI can help kind of speed up that process and really help us. Instead of having to test 1,000 things in lab, we'll have to test 20, for example. So there's definitely ways that AI can give us like a probabilistic kind of idea of what will actually make a protein better for a certain thing and things like that. But when it comes to like kind of bigger kind of problems, I do think there is this general understanding that AI is a tool. It is not the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's not just people outside of the field of AI saying this. I mean, Jeffrey Hinton himself, who's considered the father of either
Yeah.
artificial intelligence or machine learning, has literally said that it will be such a disservice to AI, and it is very scary that AI has the potential to, again, kind of be taken out of the general public's hands and be used by the powers that be rather than equipping and democratizing artificial intelligence access while still building out systems where we're not draining communities of water and things like that
Yeah.
to actually make it so that it's AI for the people rather than the other way around. I mean, I know Bernie has mentioned potentially making AI publicly owned and
I love that idea
yeah.
because it opens the gateway to UBI.
Exactly. Yes, 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 absolutely. I never really connected that, but yes, I totally agree with you. Yes. And um and so for biologists, I think how we basically do it is whether it's like engineering or biology or any of these fields, I think there's also an argument for, oh, now we need to really focus on making sure our basics are strong, right? Because it's not just a calculator helping us with an equation that we know how to solve, it'll just do it faster. It
Yeah.
is something that can essentially, in a lot of ways, think for us. And if
Hmm.
we don't know how to identify when it's thinking incorrectly, it can really do a disservice to innovation and to even like diagnostic things for clinicians, or even in law cases, in coming to a conclusion in a law case, totally different profession, but yeah, in the legal profession, people are also starting to use AI, which I honestly didn't realize until a couple of days ago. I think
Yeah.
there was a warning issued to a lawyer who had essentially used AI. The case was thrown out before already, but they were like looking back on it, and they said that this they could understand that they had used AI because it had hallucinated certain
Some cases and
things.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like,
There
why
was a
didn't you
whole
check this?
judge. There was a whole
Yeah.
judge that was feeding information to AI and telling AI to make
Yeah, no, and it's
the
crazy because
decisions.
which is insane to me, because I also don't think these people realize that a lot of times. And I think this is something that has kind of been now, especially professors, I know they have to explicitly tell students a lot of times that when you're giving proprietary information or private information to AI, it's not private anymore, dude.
Yeah.
Like, uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so if
So
you're
be
sharing,
careful, you weird boys.
right?
You weird
Yeah.
boys, be careful what questions you're asking
No,
AI.
literally. I mean, yes, and like, I'm dead. I'm dead. But even like, if you look at a patient database, right, of thousands of patients, and you're just like, AI, take this and tell me what you see, maybe let's not do that, actually. That could be problematic, you know?
Yeah.
So, but we definitely do, like, I mean, it is a very useful tool. Um, I think now it's more about teaching people of all professions how to actually use AI as a tool rather than as the thing that's actually doing your task and
Right.
job, and often doing it incorrectly. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I've talked to quite a bit of um technologists, I guess. And everyone has come to the same conclusion. We're not going to be able to stop it. It's here,
Mhm, mhm.
which fine. For me, it's again, look at how they're leveraging it.
Exactly.
People like you and I, we're talking about leveraging it as a tool for education and research.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And these idiots are using it for surveillance and they want to control you.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes, yes.
So you can't say, "Oh, it's the less of two evils" or whatever. You have to look at when you're going to vote, you have to
Mhm.
look at like people's incentives.
Absolutely.
And if they're not building you up, don't vote
Yes, exactly,
for
and
them.
absolutely, and I mean, like, I'm someone who very much does believe that there is definitely steps that we need to take to kind of make it so that AI isn't doing more harm than good. I mean, like, I do think that, like, the moratorium on data centers that has been proposed is something that is valuable and things like that. At the same time, when you look at how AI is here, as I totally agree that we have to sit back, and see how it's being used and
Mhm.
see how it should be being used, because even if I look at bioengineers and synthetic biologists and all these folks in kind of my profession, they had a conference a couple years ago, I think at this point, called The Spirit of Asilomar. Really cool conference. But in that conference there was an entire working group dedicated to AI and how to tackle it and how to um but also how to protect folks. And some of the things that they kind of came up with was there should be very strict guardrails on what kind of data you can feed into AI. There should also be like explicit permissions that are granted by folks' data who we're using that they can like either subscribe to or not if they do or don't want their data to be used in AI programs. Scientists want that shit, dude. It is like these billionaires who aren't involved in any of the science, any of the R&D, that are like, I just care about my profit margins,
Yeah.
and that don't want it. And then we've seen over time and time again that even in rural America, no matter where in America you go to, whenever there's a data center, it gets shut down, regardless of if people are conservative or liberal in an area. So, I mean, um, like
Yeah.
common sense regulation and also common sense kind of prioritization of the kinds of uses for AI that we're talking about is a very legitimate ask for majority of people.
Yeah, and trying to figure out how we all win.
Exactly.
If you guys are so smart, oh, you super smart rich people, that your decisions are just the best, oh boy. Well, then figure out how we all win.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I think it's really funny that we've been seeing certain billionaires and now our literal trillionaire, but which I still think is insane. But we've been seeing certain billionaires. Someone has definitely been telling them something, because there's been certain billionaires that have been coming out and saying that, oh, we do need to give more back to the public. And I'm just like, okay, stop saying that
Because we're
shit.
starting to shut that shit down.
Yeah, dude, they're scared,
We're
man.
shutting that shit down. Like, how is it that every time, especially Republicans, every time Republicans are in office, you guys win, and you guys win big? But every day, I call my family and everybody's struggling the same way.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. And I mean, that I think there's so many ways to fix that shit, but like as long as both Republicans and corporate Dems are
Yeah.
there, I think it's so hard to kind of get that finance legislation hard and fast to really serve the people and to really get this money out. And
And actually to convince people that that's not how the job is supposed to be done.
exactly. Yes. Yes, yes,
Like, you're
yes.
not supposed to be kissing their ass.
Mhm.
You gave them the job.
Right, right. No, exactly. And I mean, I even look at it, so if I look at my race,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so the winner incumbent, he ended up getting about 100,000 votes. I ended up getting about just under 17,000 votes.
Mm.
But he spent $20 per vote. I spent about $1 for every vote I got.
So
Um,
when you say things like that, just to kind of explain it to normal
yeah.
folks that
Yes,
don't know
yes,
the
yes.
political game, $20 a vote versus $1 a vote, what are you spending your money on?
Perfect question. So for me, what I'm spending my money on, so okay, so we see I had about like $15,000, and that is not enough to even send out one round of mailers. So for me, that was printing out materials to door knock with me and
Okay.
my volunteers. And so it was mainly that, printing materials. A little bit was to help uh to remunerate my campaign manager because she did a great job, and like little things like that.
Sure.
Because we're all struggling, but like she was full-time student, also working, and she also happened to be helping me, and so yeah. So we're just trying to help each other out as much as possible,
Yeah.
and so my money mainly went to compensating, um, my campaign manager, to different materials, and that's it.
Yeah.
But for each round of mailers, it costs about $50,000 at least.
Oof.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my opponent, he raised about 2 million, and so his probably went into mailers. His probably went into other kinds of yes, he did also have print materials. Oh yeah, we had like yard signs that people could get if they
Yeah.
were involved and things like that. But yeah, and text banking. Text banking is a very expensive endeavor. So text banking and phone banking,
Yeah.
when we're trying to call y'all, that's like a whole. I have so many issues with that system too, actually, because I learned about it through my campaign. I mean, I had text banked for other campaigns before, but I didn't realize that these dialers are set up as basically loopholes to laws that currently exist. Because
Oh, damn.
Because I don't know if you know this, but you're actually not allowed to call people in an automatic fashion. So you're not
Okay.
for a political campaign. So you're not allowed to send out automated messages unless they've like explicitly said that they're okay with it, which most people haven't. I mean,
Yeah.
and these districts have like 400,000 registered voters, and so how they get around that is by having volunteers on these dialers, but then these dialers turn a profit because they have these big lists of like registered voters and their names, but you also don't have to like click every phone number like you actually would have to do if you're following the law as it is. You
Yeah.
just click a button and that's it, and then it just keeps going. And I didn't realize that it's that they literally turn a profit on exploiting a loophole for dialers. And I don't think a lot of people actually realize that. I mean, I only really learned that through campaigning
Yeah.
myself.
If you have enough money, they'll figure out a loophole.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so that's kind of where like the money essentially goes. I mean, for me, for me, honestly, in an ideal situation, the money would be spent really differently.
Yeah.
So initially when I started out, my goal had been to raise $100,000. Um, and I wanted a good portion of that, between 25 and 50% of that, to go to mutual aid. Because like I feel like mutual aid can very much be a big part of community building as well, and getting people to turn out and getting people engaged who
100%.
usually aren't. And so in an ideal world, that's kind of how I would have split my money. And Kat Abugazale in Illinois, I know she didn't end up winning, but she did do this with her campaign finances. She
They
did
spent
use a.
so much money on that
I
race.
know, yeah, dude. That was.
Wasn't it like
I forget exactly the amount, but yeah, it was like an insane amount. Yeah.
keep going because we're gonna figure that one out. But
Yeah. And so, like, I think that, I just pulled it up, and I know you've done this too. Like $3.8 million. Holy shit! Yeah, that's insane.
and that's to beat her.
Yeah.
Because it says here she didn't do too bad either. She got $2.7 million.
Nice.
That's not bad either.
No, it's not. It's not.
That is, and now did you see that she's actually, you were talking about mutual aid type of stuff. She's
That's what she's
changed her
doing. Yeah.
campaign office to like a place where they're feeding people and they're clothing people and they're doing all kinds of cool stuff.
Exactly.
Like if your politician, I know, if your politician isn't doing that, dude, if your politician is on TV talking about how dumb and stupid you are, but you have other people that are literally feeding the poor.
Exactly. Why are they not representing us? Yeah.
They spent over $1 million to defeat her.
No, it's It's crazy. And
A million more dollars than she had.
yes,
That's wild.
exactly. I mean, even when we look at and I would not call him like the same kind of candidate as for example, like Kat or any of these other progressive folks,
Mm-hmm.
Claire, whoever. But in District 48, which is a neighboring district to District 50 where I ran, that's going to be a very contentious election.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the ones that was redistricted after Prop
Mm.
50.
Mm-hmm.
And in that primary race, the top two Democratic contenders were the person who ended up getting in top two, which was Marnie von Wilpert, and then Amar Campa-Najjar, who was third in that race. And um among those two, I had other favorites in that race who were definitely lower on the viability totem,
Yeah.
but among those two, I mean, Amar was at least pro-Palestinian, and Von Wilpert, she's a sitting city council member in San
Mm.
Diego right now, and she has voted time and time again to be super, super pro-PD. She has voted to be, to pass like a resolution that was um pretty anti-Palestinian in nature,
Mm.
in my opinion. It was like a vote on this IRA definition of anti-Semitism. But there's other definitions that are actually um uh much more deliberate and much more accurate definitions of what anti-Semitism is.
Yeah.
And also she barely showed up to talk about what happened at ICSD, which was
Mm.
during that primary race. Whereas I have a lot of critiques of Amar, but at least he's pro-Palestinian. I mean, he's half Palestinian himself. So,
Yeah.
but in the last 2 weeks of that race, or something like that, in just the last couple of weeks, $5 million was spent against him to call him everything under the sun. Like the biggest ad that was going around was like, this guy supports Trump. I was just like, that's like literally patently false, but whatever. Um, and so yeah, so I mean, like, until people realize that because I think people realize that, but they're like, that's how it has to be, and I'm just like, no, it's not. You could look at, like, I mean, yes, it's definitely an uphill battle, but wins
Yeah.
are taking place. And kind of what you were pointing to earlier, it's not just those wins happening in a vacuum. It's the people who have been part of the fight, who maybe lost certain fights, lost certain battles, who are getting back into the communities and continuing to build them up.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think a lot of people who are outside of the spaces realize that that is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so really spreading that knowledge is super key.
I don't think people realize, or they might even be afraid of the game of politics.
Mhm, mhm,
And so it's easier to just kind of like close your eyes and go to Cracker Barrel.
mhm,
You know, like humans are like water.
mhm,
They don't like resistance. They like to go, obviously you and I's brains are a little bit different. So we challenge. Let's go.
mhm,
Come on. You know. Well, for the
mhm.
most part, people are just like, just tell me where to stand. That's fine.
No, exactly. And I mean that, and I honestly think there is genuinely a group of people that are not, it's a very small group, but there is like maybe a very small group of people that is genuinely not suffering or struggling.
Hmm.
But a majority of folks can't even imagine that life can be better and life should be better than what it is right now. I think it's still insane that healthcare, basic necessities like food, water, housing are
Yeah.
tied to us having an income, having a job.
Yep.
I mean, those are basic human rights. I feel like in kindergarten we're taught that the three needs are food, clothing, and shelter. But do we act like it? No, we don't.
We do not.
so,
We
so
act like we need those shoes. We need that purse.
right, and I'm just and the fact that something as simple as, oh, I have cancer, I need treatment, is tied to, oh, am I a productive member of society, is crazy. It's insane. Like,
Yeah. 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 Instead of when I say change the culture on this channel, I
mhm.
mean that. I mean, I've never been the kind of guy that you need to tell what to do. Just tell me what needs to be done.
Mhm.
And I just like working.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Just
Mhm.
tell me what needs
Mhm.
to be done. Leave me the fuck alone.
Mhm.
But the culture shift, it needs to be that, um, like this greed is good thing is horseshit. We already know.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
But moving forward and understanding that your neighbor, you know, there's things that I'm good at. There's things that you're good at.
Exactly.
There's things that I need help with. There's things that you need help with. And just through community in that way, you can I keep saying this, improve the neighborhood. You have to
Exactly.
improve the neighborhood.
Mhm.
What good is being the cool kid in a shitty neighborhood?
Mhm. Mhm. And I love that you bring that up, and that is something that, like, I've heard you say before, and it's so true. We have to stop acting like if we do a certain set of shitty things, we will be the top dog, because these certain set of shitty things will lead to a shitty neighborhood and a shitty ecosystem and a shitty place for literally everyone, including ourselves. Um, but at least we could say that we're number one here. That mentality is so ass, and rather than that, I think we should be looking at how we can actually elevate everyone together. Because I don't think we do that by doing, like, by investing in over surveillance, or by taking really
Yeah.
needed resources away from the community to, again, like, enrich flock and whatever.
Yeah. And that's and so for folks, the flock is it isn't that the police surveillance system?
Yeah, that's like the
Yeah.
company behind it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
I was going to say something before I needed that clarification, and it was in my brain and then it flew out, so we're going to keep pushing. I think it was with you. We were having the conversation of expanding the house. Was that with
Yes,
you?
yes, 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 it was. Yes, yes, yes.
And now recently with everything that's happening Supreme Court wise and everything, everyone is talking about changing like the physical structure of government, meaning expanding the Supreme Court and expanding the House of Representatives.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, the way I see it is these sons of bitches hardly work anyway. Like,
Mhm, mhm.
how are you going to work 147 days in a year? And then, like, every time we turn around, Mike Johnson sends everyone home. And, like, it's crazy to me.
Mhm,
But it
mhm.
seems like they act like it's a bunch of people who have too much work to do, so they don't do any work.
Exactly. Mhm.
And so I was kind of looking at it and kind of investigating, kind of like uh, thought processing, whatever you want to call it, on what it would look like to expand the house, and basically what that would do, mathematically speaking, is you would have a representative with a lot less people to represent.
Mhm, mhm.
And if you look at it, we know that there's a limit to people's relationships and how many people that they can care for and all the things. So if you have all these people and your work is way too busy, we might as well get you some help. Go get some more, right?
Exactly.
Have you been able to like reflect on that at all? Have you like,
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, it's definitely something that I would support. I mean, I do think that when you give it just comes back to a power dynamic. When you give someone too much power, it makes it so much easier for things like gerrymandering to help them
Mhm.
rather than actually being kind of disconnected from how it would help or hurt someone's personal interests. I mean, whether it's Texas or Tennessee, I mean, there's been so, and I mean, even California had to do its own version after gerrymandering has just totally ramped up. And I do think breaking it down more and potentially expanding um could give, first of all, could level the playing field, because I still think it's insane that our popular vote numbers are so disparate from our electoral numbers. Yes, like this last time was the first time that Democrats actually, I mean, did lose the presidency by by electoral and popular vote. Um but before that, for the past 2 decades, I want to say, I mean, Democrats have won every single popular vote count, and I mean, the presidencies don't really reflect that. And
Yeah.
so I think that as close as we can get to that popular opinion, the better. And by breaking it down, we could definitely do that. And yes, and give people more ability to actually focus on um a smaller group of folks
Mhm.
rather than spreading themselves too thin. I mean, we can look at even my district before Prop 50, and I do think like the office locations will change a little bit afterwards. But the incumbent, he had two offices. The one in the main locus of our city is open every day of the week, but the one that's a little bit far out, and it was way less far out than the district now goes, that one's open like 2 days a week. And
Yeah.
so if you're someone who's struggling with going through immigration work and things like that, and you need that office, it's only there for you 2 days of the week rather than
Mhm.
being there for you how it should be. Um, and yeah, I think like making these districts more like more focused would really actually help with kind of making sure that representatives are actually serving them. Because I do think that there's a lot of critiques of current representatives that are very corporate donor kind of leaning and who really kind of focus on corporate interests, that
Mhm.
they do a shitty job of serving their constituents even like kind of more individually. Because I think we often forget that being a legislator or being a congressperson is not just legislating, it's also constituent services are a big part of being a legislator.
Yeah.
Um, and that's literally, if someone calls you and they're like, "Hey, my immigration paperwork is going crazy. Can you help me?" Your office is supposed to be able to help them. Uh,
You see, it's those things that I don't know if people realize
exactly. Yes.
that
Yes.
your
Yes. Yes.
congressperson is supposed to do more than just go on Fox News.
Right. Yes. Yes. No, we act like these like these congressional recesses and things are times where like, yes, they're not working at Capitol Hill, but they should
Yeah.
be doing other fucking work.
Right. They should be home doing
Yeah,
work.
yeah. But a lot of them don't. A lot of them are in like these uppity kind of um I'm forgetting the phrase for it, but like uppity settings, either like mingling with corporate interests
Oh yeah.
or yeah.
Like
Um
sponsor dinners and
yes,
goofy shit like
exactly.
that.
Yes. All the shit that like I feel like like Clarence Thomas and Justice Alito constantly get shit on for.
That's
But
straight up
yeah,
bribery, son. God.
it's so bad. But like our representatives do the same shit. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
crazy.
don't doubt that. How much of this were you aware of when you decided to run?
In terms of like what the job is, or just the craziness behind the scenes, or
All of it.
so in terms of what the job is, that is something that I was really aware of. And
Yeah.
the reason is, I mean, there's definitely been other folks that have wanted me to run for other things. And I've always tried to do my due diligence of what the job actually is.
Mhm.
Um, because yes, all of them are like legislative in nature, but there's always another big part of the job that is like not on the dais, not talking to some reporter. It's actually like going out into the community that you're serving.
Yeah.
So I was very aware actually of like constituent services and that being a big part of the job. But in terms of like the backroom stuff, I was aware of some of it. I think in the grand scheme of things, like, I was aware that lobbying and lobbying is not just like convincing reps for a lot of folks. It is very much acting in interests because you were given something in return.
Yeah.
I was very aware of that particular aspect. What I wasn't as aware of is that it is very much, if you're working in the political space, not as like a community organizer, but as like a staffer or as a young person who's a policy expert of some sort and is helping some existing elected, you better not be like actually talking about what your beliefs are even off the clock. That's the stuff that really kind of fucked with me a little bit,
Mm.
where um where I would go into these same spaces where I had been as a community organizer, and they were like, "Yeah, I really support XYZ really progressive thing. In a very meta sense, I support everything that's happening in New York, like goes on." At the same time, when you go in as a progressive candidate into these same electoral spaces, it is really only the community-centered folks that are still there for you, the people who are working for the party and things like that. They're like, "Oh shit, now I have to make a decision that my boss may not be happy with because their friend is the person that Sparky's running against."
Yeah. Yeah.
so, so let me actually disappear, or let me, and even disappearing, honestly, like that's fine. Like being, like I even became okay with that at a certain point. It's being actually combative and being filled with vitriol that comes with that I was so not okay with. I was like, where did this 180 come where I used to be so chill with you? Luckily you're not like my like first like group of friends that I go to with all my problems, but there's definitely people that have been like blacklisted from everything, that have worked in this space before. Yeah, so I know a guy who was actually volunteering for the person who ran as a progressive before me a couple election cycles ago, but he had previously been involved in trying to recall one of our city council members
Yeah.
because he's a like hard left progressive, but she's like this very corporate. She is a Democrat, but she's a very corporate kind of Dem.
Sure.
And he used to work in politics. He worked in politics ever since like he came out of high school, essentially, and then he was blacklisted from every job, and he ended up going back to school to become like an electrician. And to me, I'm just like, oh, that shit's fucking scary. What the fuck is that? That's insane to me.
They kicked him all the way out.
Yeah. And he wasn't even running for shit. He was just like, I want her to be held accountable. And then they were like, nah, we can't have this. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is that,
Is it
man?
a little high schooly? A little,
Yes, dude, it
yeah.
absolutely is. It absolutely is. And that's the shit that, like, I had heard of, like, certain things, but I really thought it was, like, one-off cases. I
Yeah.
genuinely believed that. And I'm just like, no, this sinister kind of way of thinking about it, it very much feels like a part of what their job is, even off the clock. I don't know why you're shilling for your boss off the clock, but they are. And so that's something that was very new to me and that I was not very aware of. Um, and I'm very grateful that that was never kind of that I had already kind of decided early on in undergrad that I didn't really wanna be a staffer because of that reason. I do think it strips away your autonomy a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that some people think it strips away their autonomy off the clock too, but anyways, whatever. So
Hey,
so
when you believe, you believe.
right, right. So and most of my friends have very much been in that same boat. They're, like, very community-centered, community organizers, or they're, like, scientists,
Yeah.
which I do think think we would really benefit from more scientists being a little more involved because science funding and stuff is also getting stripped, and
Or again, just having more scientists around.
yes, dude, and, so I would love that, but luckily, I'm lucky enough not to rely on corporate dem spaces too much for community because I would be in
Yeah.
a rough position if I did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, how does one choose to be a community organizer? Is there like a Google Hangout? Like, how does one choose, and then how does one move within that, I don't know, lifestyle or whatever?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think everyone does it a little bit differently, and I do think certain folks have it harder than others. For me, um, I've always been most comfortable in kind of like these nonprofit spaces where even though I don't like work for a nonprofit anymore, that is kind of how I got most involved early on. Where there's like very specific tasks, right? There's like, oh, there's uh a piece of legislation that's being considered by city council that we really support or that we really oppose. Let's mobilize, let's organize folks, let's look at communities that haven't been involved, that were involved, or that certain people have been involved with, but like haven't been involved in this conversation. Let's bring them in, let's turn them out. And let's educate, let's get their input as well on what they would like to potentially what they would like to see be changed in this piece of legislation. And let's bring people together like that. So that's kind of how I've been most comfortable. There's so many ways to kind of do it. I mean,
Hmm.
other ways are kind of um more nebulous in nature. I think right now in San Diego specifically, I mean, there's vigils at Mesa Detention Center
Mm.
every week on Sundays, but there's also constant detention resistance where you can get trained actually at the location
Mm.
by local community organizers to help either just like give migrants that are being processed that have been detained kind of like peace of mind, or to actually be offering some sort of kind of like resistive kind of force
Hmm.
um and kind of getting involved that way. I think the biggest thing is honestly just showing up, because when you show up you get connected to these opportunities at like the detention center. At I mean, the other thing that happens every week in San Diego in this kind of realm is uh mobilizations against ICE, and that happens at the federal building in downtown San Diego. And I don't necessarily think that particular action itself is like hoping to change something, but there's so many folks in that space who are labor organizers, who are involved with other community organizations, who help with different aspects of help different sections of our community in different ways,
Yeah.
um, who you can always talk to because they're always tabling, they're always at like the federal building on Thursdays. Um, and so just showing up, I think, is definitely the best way. I know, for example, people who got involved in politics through my campaign for the first time as volunteers. Um, there's folks even in that space who, for the first time, went to their first city hall meeting. Um, and, like, they didn't know that the like, even if they knew that happened, like, it's always easier when you have, like, a buddy going with you and you know that someone else
Yeah.
is in the know about things, and so they've gotten more connected to that space and actually, like, giving public comment, and I think starting out as someone who was mobilized, hopefully being built up with the skills to then organize your own communities and bring them together to turn out for pieces of legislation that affect them and will benefit them. And so those are like the initial kind of ways I would maybe go about it. I mean, if you have like local groups at your universities, whether it's like a YDSA chapter, whether it's other like smaller organizations. SJP is huge, right, on many campuses now, Students for Justice in Palestine. Um, and a lot of those clubs and groups themselves have a lot of experience now in organizing folks. Like these encampments, I don't think a lot of people realize how much coordination and organization went into this. Not just the first one, not just in Colombia. I think Colombia had its own unique organization that was like they did a really good job in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And we could definitely talk about that later, but in the future. But even other encampments, most of them were able to get prominent progressives from their communities to come and show out and to support them. Most of them were able to work with local businesses who supported justice in Palestine to help feed the kids when they're literally in these tents, and
Mm.
when grad students are like getting stipends and tuition and payments withheld from them, and anything in that realm. Like food was at Columbia, like food was there every day to a point where we actually had an overflow of food, and then we'd send um our c- the food that we had left to different places in Harlem, since we're right in the area. And so that's how community really comes together. It's like an amalgamation of things, but I think
Yeah.
honestly showing up, and I think sometimes even hard to know where to show up. I would, if anyone is in San Diego, I'd be happy to share more resources with them. But I think like the ones that I mentioned are definitely like the kind of the first ways I would get in touch with folks.
Yeah. I think that's important information for the layman, for the normal folks to understand that there's a lot of moving parts
Mhm. Mhm.
and like you have to leave your apartment
Yeah.
to activate. You have to be a part of the community
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
to like push and make things happen for your community.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. And even as something as simple as like Um, I think canvassing can be, like, a little daunting for a lot of people, like door knocking, people that you've never met in your life. But there's, like, more fun ways to kind of get involved too, where
Yeah.
it's usually, like,
Yeah, that part's not
informational
for
things,
everybody.
and
Not
yeah.
everybody's a salesperson,
Yeah, yeah, 100%,
and that's
100%.
cool.
Yeah. There's definitely other ways you could get involved, and it's like, I know in San Diego DSA, like, a lot of times, and I think it's not even just DSA, it's other community organizations when they host, like, um a lot of them host a lot of workshops too. It's not just like activating folks, but it's also just like being in community with folks and teaching. At those workshops, it's usually like a community affair. There's usually food. There's usually like a lot of really great community organizers and organizations. There's who are kind of coming together to, yes, educate, but also to build community with you. So,
Hmm.
um, um, I mean, there's definitely so many organizations that want to build.
If you live in a community and something is really pissing you off, there might be a group of people that's also pissed off about that same thing.
Exactly. 100%.
So either find them or send up the beacon and let them find you.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely.
Because like
Absolutely. Yes.
Mark Davis said this. Mark Davis, he's running in Florida. He said, the United States is this big ball of money.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if you don't speak up, you're not getting any of it.
Mhm. Mhm. No, exactly. Like, I even think about how, even when, like, insurgent candidates who've never really run for office or anything, it takes a lot of courage to even make that first step. I would argue that it takes even more courage to kinda stay in it when a lot of people are like, "Why the fuck are you running?" Like, because there is gonna be those folks, because there's so many folks also like, those are the vocal few, right?
Yeah.
There's so many other folks that are like, "Ugh, finally someone who resonates with me and actually gives a shit about what
Yeah.
I need. Because at least they, like, even something as simple as, oh, at least they know who to fucking contact. One person because they got a ballot, who to fucking contact in the future, because they will probably know about other organizations, other organizers, other people, other scientists, engineers, whatever have you, in the region who are actually trying to make their community better, rather than some elected who's been there for like however many years, decades, who is like living in their ivory tower, who will never fucking talk to you or give you the resources that you need. So
I'm glad you said that too, because the way I look at it is this. If you have had, if your community gave you a job, whatever job it is, if it's picking up dog poo, if it's being a representative, if it's the grocery store guy bagging groceries, if you are terrible at your job for 15 years, it's time to go.
Exactly. Yes.
If society is crumbling and you have been at the front of the bus, it's time to go. It's time to go. That's why you're seeing a lot of these democratic socialists winning. Like, people are tired.
Exactly.
People are tired of complaining about the same thing. And then, like you said, everyone, all these idiots are in their ivory tower. And now we got a fat bitch up here saying, let them eat cake.
No, exactly.
This orange clown.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy.
We don't have money for books to educate your kids, but here's an arch.
Isn't it diabolical?
I'm like,
so
bro,
bizarre.
how many kids did you touch? Like,
Dude, yeah.
He is tearing everything up, and it's in protection of this upper class that doesn't give two shits about you.
Exactly. 100%.
It's bigger than just the pervertedness. It's the greed and this hierarchy that's bullshit.
Absolutely. Yes, exactly.
We're supposed to be a nation that gives you a chance to be the best you can possibly be. And we're wagging our fingers at people that don't have shit.
Exactly.
That's the culture change that needs to happen. We got to shut that shit down. Change it. We literally just passed 2 hours. Is there anything you want to make sure that we talk about before we go?
I think I'm
Are you running
chilling
again? Are you running again?
We'll see. I am thinking about it. I think there's a lot of excitement, and there is like a hunger for it. I really think that East Coast got it on lock this time around, but California's next, y'all. We've got to lock in. And so I would love to be a part of that change in any big or small way.
What do you have left on your PhD?
Oh, I just started, actually. So I do have a few years left. And that is something that, like, I've also been, thinking about incorporating more kind of computational work into it. I think, first of all, it is necessary to really push the field forward, but also it makes it more manageable to do community organizing work with it. Because I want to do my due diligence, and I love bioengineering, and I don't ever want to reach a position where I'm just like doing it just because like it's something I started. But I'm also stubborn, so I am going to finish this.
No. Having that little PhD behind your name, that's plus. I just got a text message from your parents. Yes, you need to finish your PhD. They said just now.
No, I think they would be thrilled. Although I will say, after this election, they are much more excited about me thinking about doing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that first go round, you did
Mhm.
good.
Thank you.
You did good. People don't realize that if you let's say you're standing on stage
Mhm,
and
mhm.
you had those 17,000 people in front of you, like tell me you wouldn't be nervous. That's a
No,
lot of
right?
people.
Yeah, exactly. And no, I honestly, like, I wanna reach a point where people are like, yes, maybe it would be a little nerve-wracking, but at the same time, it would be so fucking cool to see all these people who are like, "Ah, fuck that guy, we want something
No,
different,"
just
you know?
yeah, like imagine making everyone and it, especially if everyone is there to see you, to see what you would like. I've been up on stage, and I think the biggest crowd I ever did was like 150, 200 people maybe.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And I was a little nervous at first, but boy, once that first joke hit and everybody was laughing, I was
Yes,
like, that's it. Let's
yes.
go. Let's go. I made people laugh at I was talking about multimedia and 3D
Mhm,
and stuff like that, like creative stuff.
mhm, mhm.
So 200 people came to see me, and when they first laughed at my joke, I was like, "Oh, that's it. That's it. Here we go."
No, it did! Wait, that's beautiful, though, I love it, I love it.
Yeah. Sparky, take however long, take a couple moments to let people know who you are, and if they want to find out more about your community activism and your campaign and everything, tell them all they need to know to get them to fall in love with you.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for having me, Carlos. Again, I am Sparky and I'm in the San Diego region. If you're curious about what I'm kind of up to next, you can find me at sparkymitra.com. All my socials are linked there as well. But I'm excited to both be pursuing my engineering work, but also to be involved in community, especially in the San Diego region, building up the youth votes, building up youth power to not only potentially help congressional races, but races up and down the ballot in November this time around, but also in 2028, all throughout, because we really want to make San Diego a place and an example for progressive change and progressive legislation um, going forward. So I'm really excited to see what's next, and I want to be a part of that change as a worker bee, as someone at the forefront, or just helping support whoever. But excited to see where we go next. And thank you again so much, Carlos, for having me.
You're welcome. You're a lot of fun to talk to. I'm telling you, I love being surrounded by smart people, boy. They get,
Oh my
I
gosh,
love
no,
it.
it's so lovely being here.
Yeah, thanks again for coming and hanging out and showing the people like and actually showing them some of the behind the scenes type of stuff. So, hopefully the momentum of showing people the moving parts
Exactly.
of what you
Mhm.
guys are doing, hopefully it'll help educate folks to see like, oh, okay, this is happening. That's why that is happening. That's why it's important to pay attention to these positions and blah 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 blah.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
it's so important. I feel like not enough of us like know about because even me, right? I feel in a weird way, besides fundraising, because girl is still learning that part. But in terms of other parts of campaigning, um, I really do feel like you have to do one to become like a subject matter expert, and then, but I feel like a lot of that knowledge is really not shared, and it kind of gets stuck either campaigns that were maybe not run as well because they're either insurgent or very small campaigns, or they get stuck with people who end up getting a lot of power who don't want to share, right?
yeah,
but I think there is this like cadre of folks that are very much in community that want to see not of course I am the biggest advocate for my success, but I want to be a really big advocate for the success of others as well.
Right.
And there is that a huge cadre of folks like that who really want to share every resource at their fingertips that either they've gotten through going through the ringer themselves or that they've gotten through resource sharing with other candidates and campaigns in the past, that really want to share that with others to lift them up and to potentially see electeds from working families rather than from the like billionaire class, the Epstein class. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm super excited, and I love being even a small part of that.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I'm excited that, again, I keep going to the fact that you're like hella smart, and it's just so, it's so good to see smart people trying to take over. 'Cause
Thank you.
we
No,
got a
yeah.
bunch of dummies out there right now, boy.
No, truly. Oh my goodness.
All right, and with that, everybody, we're out.